The storm that changed everything. Lightning struck the oak tree outside Mark's modest suburban home, splitting it down the middle with a deafening crack that shook the windows. But that wasn't what made his heart stop. It was the words that tumbled from his boss's lips as she stood dripping in his hallway. "I'm pregnant, Mark. And the board wants me gone because of it." Sophia Bennett, his direct superior, the woman who'd built the company from nothing, the untouchable CEO, was suddenly vulnerable in a way that made his own single-parent struggles pale in comparison. "What? They can't do that." Mark instinctively pulled his 5-year-old daughter Emma closer to his side as thunder rolled overhead. The power flickered ominously. "That's illegal, it's discrimination." His mind raced through the implications. If they could push out Sophia for something like this, what would stop them from finding reasons to terminate a single dad who occasionally missed meetings for school emergencies? The company was his lifeline, his only means of supporting Emma since her mother had walked out 3 years ago. Sophia's blue eyes, usually sharp with confidence during board meetings, now swam with unshed tears. "They're calling it restructuring. I have evidence they've been planning this since they found out, but I need help building my case." She clutched a waterproof portfolio to her chest like armor. "I didn't know where else to go. The storm knocked out power to my condo building, and I remembered you mentioned living nearby." The unspoken question hung between them: would he risk his own position to help her fight back? If you're enjoying this story of unexpected connection and courage, hit that like button. I'd love to know what you think might happen next. Mark guided Sophia to the kitchen while Emma bounced excitedly around their unexpected guest. "You're so pretty. Are you Daddy's girlfriend?" the little girl asked, causing both adults to flush crimson. Mark quickly diverted his daughter with hot chocolate and cookies before setting up a makeshift office at the kitchen table. Outside, the storm intensified, tree branches scraping against windows like skeletal fingers. "They've been watching me for months," Sophia explained, spreading documents across the table. Her long blonde hair had begun to dry, falling in waves past her shoulders. "I built this company from my garage, and now they want to erase me because I don't fit their image of leadership." Her voice cracked. A pregnant woman without a partner doesn't project stability to investors, apparently. Mark studied her face, seeing for the first time the shadows beneath her perfect makeup. At work, Sophia was a force of nature, brilliant, demanding, sometimes intimidating. Here in his kitchen, illuminated by candlelight as the power finally gave out completely, she seemed both smaller and somehow more powerful in her vulnerability. "I had no idea," he said quietly. "You never let anyone see this side of you." "I can't afford to," she replied, her fingers trembling slightly as she organized spreadsheets. "Women in tech don't get second chances. One perceived weakness and the vultures descend." She glanced toward Emma, who was now coloring by flashlight in the living room. "How do you do it? Balance everything?" Mark laughed without humor. "Badly, most days. But we manage." He hesitated before adding, "Emma's mother decided parenthood wasn't for her. Left when Emma was 2. Sophia's eyes widened. "I had no idea. You never talk about your personal life at work. For the same reasons you don't, I guess. Can't appear vulnerable." Their eyes met in silent understanding, a connection forming that neither had anticipated. As midnight approached, Emma finally succumbed to sleep on the couch. The storm showed no signs of abating, rain lashing against the windows with renewed fury. Mark offered Sophia his bedroom while he took the couch. "Your bed looks small," she observed, standing in the doorway of his modest bedroom. He replied with unexpected softness, "It's perfect when 2 people are close." The words hung between them, loaded with meaning neither was ready to acknowledge. This storm is bringing more than just rain, it's washing away pretenses. What secrets will be revealed before morning? Comment below with your predictions. Sophia's cheeks colored slightly as she clutched her borrowed pajamas, an old t-shirt and sweatpants that would swallow her slender frame. I should be the one on the couch. This is your home. Single dad rule number 1. Never pass up a chance for uninterrupted sleep, Mark joked, but his eyes remained serious. Take the bed, Sophia. Please. Later, as Mark stared at the ceiling from the couch, listening to the storm rage outside, his phone lit up with an urgent message. The board chairman had somehow discovered Sophia's whereabouts and was threatening immediate termination for both of them if Mark assisted with her baseless claims. His stomach clenched. How had they found out so quickly? Someone was watching them. The stakes had just risen exponentially. His job, his ability to provide for Emma, everything was now on the line. Morning brought watery sunlight and the realization that they were effectively trapped. Floodwaters had risen overnight, cutting off the main roads. Mark's phone buzzed with emergency alerts and messages from concerned neighbors. But it was the email from the board that made his blood run cold. They were calling an emergency meeting to resolve the leadership situation as soon as the roads cleared. They're accelerating their timeline, Sophia said, reading over his shoulder, her proximity sending an unexpected current through him. They're afraid of what we might uncover if we have time to prepare. Her hand rested briefly on his shoulder, the touch burning through the thin fabric of his t-shirt. Emma, oblivious to the tension, delighted in having a guest. Can Miss Sophia do my hair like hers? She asked, eyeing Sophia's elegant French braid with admiration. The simple request created a moment of normalcy in their increasingly complicated situation. As Sophia gently worked through Emma's tangled curls, Mark found himself watching them with an unfamiliar ache in his chest. His daughter rarely had female attention, and the ease with which Sophia interacted with her, patient, kind, genuinely interested in Emma's chatter about school and friends, revealed yet another layer to the woman he thought he knew. You're good with her, he observed quietly. Sophia's hands stilled momentarily. I always wanted children, she admitted. The timing never seemed right. Then suddenly I'm 38, single, focused entirely on the company, and... She placed a protective hand over her still flat stomach. Life makes its own plans sometimes. Who's the father? Mark asked before he could stop himself. The question hung in the air, heavy with implications. Sophia's expression closed like a shutter. Not in the picture. By mutual agreement. Her tone made it clear the subject was closed. The storm has trapped them together, but secrets still create walls. Will they trust each other enough to fight what's coming? Like and subscribe to find out. By midday, they had established a makeshift command center at Mark's dining table. Emma helped by sorting papers into colorful piles while the adults pieced together evidence of the board's systematic campaign to undermine Sophia's authority since her pregnancy became known. Look at this, Mark said, pointing to meeting minutes from 3 months prior. They started restructuring discussions the exact day after your doctor's appointment. The one you had to leave early for. Sophia's face paled. How would they know about that? It was a private appointment. Someone's been watching you, Mark confirmed grimly. And now they're watching me too. The revelation hung between them as they worked through lunch and into the afternoon. The floodwaters began to recede, meaning they had precious little time before they would need to face the board. As they strategized, their hands occasionally brushed, each contact sending sparks that neither acknowledged but both increasingly felt. It was Emma who inadvertently provided the breakthrough. This man looks mean, she said, pointing to a photo from the company holiday party. In the background, barely visible, the board chairman was engaged in intense conversation with someone whose face was turned away from the camera. Mark enlarged the image, his heart racing. That's Jacob Wells, he's on the board of our biggest competitor. He looked at Sophia, excitement building. This could be corporate espionage, not just discrimination. They're using your pregnancy as cover for something bigger. Sophia's eyes widened as the pieces fell into place. The acquisition talks. They're planning to sell off our core technology division, my division, to Westfield Tech. That's why they need me gone. As evening approached, the roads cleared enough for travel. The emergency board meeting was scheduled for 8 a.m. the following morning. They had one night to prepare their defense and counterattack. You should stay here again, Mark suggested, the thought of Sophia returning to her empty condo suddenly unbearable. We work better as a team. The words carried weight beyond their immediate crisis. Sophia hesitated, her professional mask momentarily slipping to reveal uncertainty. Mark, if we do this, if we confront the board together, there's no going back. They'll come after you too. Emma needs stability. Mark looked at his daughter, now sleeping peacefully on the couch, exhausted from the excitement of their unusual day. Emma needs to see that standing up for what's right matters, even when it's hard. His voice softened. And I need to know you're safe. The battle lines are drawn, but is their connection strong enough to withstand what's coming? Drop a comment with your thoughts. That night, after Emma was tucked into bed, Mark and Sophia sat close together on the couch, finalizing their strategy by the soft glow of the recovered electricity. The storm had passed, but the air between them remained charged with unspoken possibilities. Why did you really come here last night? Mark asked suddenly. You could have gone to a hotel, called a car service. Why me? Sophia's gaze remained fixed on the papers before her. Because you see me, she finally said, her voice barely above a whisper. Not just the CEO, not just the pregnant woman. You've always seen me. She looked up then, vulnerability and strength intertwined in her expression. Even when I didn't want to be seen. The confession hung between them for a heartbeat before Mark closed the distance, his lips finding hers in a kiss that felt simultaneously like a beginning and a culmination. Her response was immediate, hands threading through his hair as months of unacknowledged attraction crystallized into something undeniable. When they finally broke apart, breathless and slightly stunned, Sophia rested her forehead against his. This complicates everything, she murmured. Or maybe it simplifies it, he countered, tucking a strand of blonde hair behind her ear. Now we know exactly what we're fighting for. Morning arrived with cruel swiftness. They dressed in silence, the professional armor they'd temporarily abandoned now necessary once more. Emma would stay with a neighbor during the meeting. As they prepared to leave, she hugged Sophia fiercely. Are you going to be my daddy's girlfriend now? She asked with a child's directness. Sophia knelt to Emma's level, her eyes serious. I don't know what happens next, sweetheart. But I promise, whatever happens, I'll still be your friend. The boardroom fell silent as they entered together, Sophia's chin held high, Mark a half step behind her. The chairman's face registered first surprise, then poorly concealed anger at their united front. Ms. Bennett, Mr. Calloway. This is an executive session. Mr. Calloway, you weren't invited. Actually, Sophia replied, her voice steady as she placed a flash drive on the table, we both have something the board needs to see before any decisions are made. What followed was corporate warfare at its most intense, accusations met with evidence, threats countered with legal precedents. Mark watched in admiration as Sophia systematically dismantled the chairman's arguments, her pregnancy and single status transformed from perceived weaknesses into symbols of her commitment to both personal and professional growth. When the chairman finally played his trump card, the threat of terminating Mark's position, Sophia didn't flinch. Fire him, and I walk too. Along with the patents registered in my name, the client relationships I've personally cultivated, and the loyalty of a development team that will follow me anywhere. Her hand found Mark's under the table, fingers intertwining. We're a package deal now. The meeting ended in stalemate, with the board retreating to consider options. As they left the building, adrenaline still coursing through their veins, Mark pulled Sophia into the privacy of the stairwell. "That was incredible," he said, eyes shining with admiration. "You were incredible." She laughed, the sound lighter than he'd ever heard from her. "We were incredible. I couldn't have done it without you." Her expression sobered. "But this isn't over. They'll regroup, try another angle." "Let them try," Mark said with newfound confidence. "Some things are worth fighting for." His hand gently rested against her stomach, the gesture asking a question his voice couldn't yet form. "This battle may be won, but the war continues. What would you do in their position? Share your thoughts in the comments." 6 months later, Sophia stood at the podium, her baby bump now proudly visible beneath her tailored maternity dress. The company's quarterly earnings had exceeded all projections under her continued leadership. The board chairman had resigned amid investigations into corporate espionage, and the new board had unanimously backed Sophia's vision for the company's future. "Success isn't just measured in profit margins," she told the assembled employees and press. "It's measured in the courage to remain authentic, even when facing impossible odds." Her gaze found Mark in the front row, Emma beside him wearing a "Big Sister in Training" t-shirt that made Sophia's heart swell. "And in finding people who stand beside you through the storm." That evening, they returned to Mark's house, now their house. The small bed in the master bedroom replaced with one that could comfortably fit two. But as they lay together that night, Sophia's head on Mark's chest, his hand protectively cradling her growing belly, she smiled at the memory. "Your bed really was small," she murmured sleepily. "And I meant what I said," he replied, kissing the top of her head. "It's perfect when two people are close." Outside, another storm gathered on the horizon. But this time, they would weather it together. If this story of courage, connection, and finding love in unexpected places touched your heart, please like and subscribe for more content that celebrates the power of standing together through life's storms. Share with someone who needs a reminder that sometimes, the most beautiful beginnings come from the most challenging moments.